Chapter 3 Whispers. G'day everyone, Rune here, and this is Chapter 3 of my What If Mikoto Adopted Naruto series. If you're new to this series, click the link in the description below to be taken to the playlist. Now let's begin the next chapter. How dare he! Mikoto has never felt such protective fury in her life. Even during the Kyuubi attack, her anger had been tempered with fear. Now, however, there's nothing to dampen the blinding rage burning within her. This wasn't simply crossing a line. This was taking the line and using it as a skipping rope. How dare that man do this to her family? To her sons? She didn't care if that bastard was one of the elders. She was going to kill him! She's very glad that she sent Itachi to check on his little brothers while she and Fugaku talked, or she'd be deeply concerned at the possibility of him hearing the explicit language she's currently using. Love, your Mangekyo is showing. Hearing her husband's comment, and knowing what overusing her Mangekyo would do, Mikoto closes her eyes and takes a deep breath to cool her anger. She needs to think rationally. She is a responsible, mature parent who only decides on a course of action after considering the effects it will have on her children. Oh, who is she kidding? Kushina and Minato would be all for burying that man 6 feet under! She turns to Fugaku, her eyes still flashing red as she struggles to keep her Sharingan under control. She asks if Hiruzen knows about this yet. He nods, explaining that the Hokage was the one that told him about what happened. I've never liked the man, but I never thought that he would do something as dangerous and cruel as leaking an S-rank secret about an infant. Mikoto sighs, her anger slowly beginning to be replaced with sorrow for her youngest, who, at this moment, is peacefully sleeping upstairs with his brother, completely oblivious to the storm that will come crashing down on him sooner rather than later. Her attention is drawn back to Fugaku as he tells her that that isn't everything. Mikoto groans as she pinches the bridge of her nose, asking what else that old bastard has done. With a bone-weary sigh, he tells his wife of the rest of Danzo's scheming. On top of leaking Naruto's Jinchuriki status, the man has also implicated Mikoto and the rest of the Uchiha clan in the Kyuubi attack. He's even gone so far as to insinuate that Mikoto intends to use Naruto as a weapon against Konoha. Mikoto's hands ball into fists as rage once again begins to build within her. The Uchiha had only just started to truly become part of the village, and now, thanks to the actions of one selfish bastard, all of that is gone. And on top of that, he'd once again dared to insinuate she had something to do with Kushina's death. What are we going to do? Fugaku sighs, putting his head in his hands. I don't know, love. I don't know. The next day, Mikoto goes out shopping for groceries. To her delighted surprise, Kakashi pops up just as she's leaving the house, offering to help her carry everything. With a warm smile, she helps to secure Sasuke's carry sling to his front before they begin to make their way to the shops. On the way, she immediately notices the looks that many of the villagers are now sending her way. It takes all of her willpower not to show any reaction. She will not let them see her upset. She will not give them any reason to further suspect her. She is as much a part of this village as anyone else, and she will not be made to feel uncomfortable in her own home. Eventually, the little group reaches the usual grocery store that Mikoto goes to. She's just about to walk in when the owner steps out, telling her that they're closed right now. Mikoto bites her tongue to hold back the words that she so desperately wants to say. She can tell that the man is lying. There are people inside the store, but she needs to pick her battles. She can't let her anger get the better of her or her children will suffer. She's just about to politely inquire about the people within the store when a familiar voice calls out her name. Looking up the street, she sees Sume making her way towards her own son in a sling across her front. Sporting a massive grin, she walks right up to the Uchiha, throwing an arm over her shoulders in greeting as she proceeds to make small talk, asking how the boys are doing and who the little fellow carrying Sasuke is. Smiling back at her friend, Mikoto explains that Kakashi is the little shadow that she'd told her and the other mothers about. Sume grins as she reaches out to ruffle Kakashi's hair, joking that Mikoto really seems to be collecting children to adopt. If she keeps this up, she might run out of room in her house. She then asks Mikoto if she's out for some shopping. At Mikoto's confirmation, the brunette loudly proclaims that she should shop at the store she shops at. They have way better stock and are way more reliable. This place closes at the weirdest times. It's like they're being run by a bunch of monkeys. Then, without waiting to see the store owner's response, she steers Mikoto and Kakashi away from the store and up the street, arms still slung over her shoulders. Once they're away from the store, she apologizes to Mikoto in a low voice. She may have gone a little overboard back there, but she wants Mikoto to know that not everyone in this village are idiots. She still has the support of the ninja mums and many others. They all know how much Kushina meant to her. They know that she had nothing to do with the Kyuubi's attack. And Naruto is just a baby. The kid doesn't even have his teeth yet. What do these morons expect him to do? Gum them all to death? Mikoto giggles as Sume rolls her eyes. Sume grins, glad to have gotten such a reaction. She then leans in and whispers that they know Danzo is the one that leaked the secret. Unfortunately, there's no physical evidence of his involvement, so they can't give the ass the punishment he deserves. Mikoto nods, telling Sume that she knows. She hates how powerless she feels. That man just destroyed any chance Naruto had at a normal life, and she can't do anything about it. Sume taps her chin in thought, telling Mikoto that she wouldn't say that. They might not be able to get him thrown in jail for this, but that doesn't mean they can't punish him. Mikoto quirks an eyebrow curiously, asking what she means. Sume grins, telling her not to worry her pretty little head. She'll find out. Why does you saying that only make me worry more? Later, after Mikoto returns home from her shopping and sits down for some tea with Sume, while the babies play on the floor and Kakashi leaves for something, she does find out. While the mothers are happily talking, Mikoto is surprised to hear someone coming through the front door. Turning around, she sees Fugaku standing in the doorway to the sitting room, arms crossed and leaning against the frame. He is clearly trying to keep a straight face, but the twitch of his lips and glimmer of mirth in his eyes, invisible to anyone but her, give away his true feelings. Curious, she asks her husband why he's home so early. Lip twitching into an almost smirk, Fugaku tells his wife that he was sent here by the Hokage, as he was informed that Sume Inuzuka would be here. Shooting a questioning glance at the now smirking Sume, Mikoto asks why he needs to talk to her. Fugaku tells her that it appears that the lord of Elder Danzo's house was covered in dog poop a few hours ago, and he suspects that the Inuzuka clan had something to do with it. Sume takes a sip of her tea, lips twitching with the effort to stop herself from cackling. The Inuzuka clan are not the only ones that own dogs in this whole village, you know. Nor do we control where a dog decides to relieve itself. I find this accusation quite insulting. Besides, how could I have had anything to do with it? I was out shopping with Lady Mikoto until a few minutes ago. You can ask all of the shops we went to, and they'll confirm. Mikoto stares at her friend for a few silent moments before she puts her head in her hands and sighs. Time passes, life continues on, and two factions begin to form within Konoha. Those that continue to support the Uchiha, and those that believe the rumor of their involvement in the Kyuubi attack. Those that support the Uchiha welcome the clan into their homes and establishments with open arms, while those that don't close their doors and their hearts to both the clan and their supporters. Those that support the Uchiha have also begun to show distaste and distrust in the elders and Danzo in particular. Some have followed in the Inuzuka clan's example, taking every opportunity to make the man's life inconvenient, while others, like the Nara and Yamanaki clans, have started digging into the man, looking for anything that could be used as grounds to dismiss him from office, if not land him a lifetime sentence in jail or execution. However, just as Mikoto predicted, the one most affected by all of this is Naruto. With Naruto and Sasuke being only 3 months apart in age, the two are growing up practically like twins. Though Sasuke never lets Naruto forget that he's the older one, often teasing the blonde by telling him to let his big brother handle everything. As much as this annoys the blonde, he does still appreciate the bond they share as both brothers and friends. Their relationship is one of playful sibling rivalry, where they constantly try to one-up each other with everything, be it who can eat the most, or who can learn a certain jutsu first, resulting in them pushing each other to be better. Even if Sasuke always wins at the latter, as Naruto still has yet to succeed in doing a single traditional Uchiha jutsu. After all, with all of the traditional Uchiha jutsu being fire-based, you can't expect a child with a natural wind affinity to pick it up like a child with a fire affinity. Not that any of the boys know that. On the flip side, however, Naruto's drive to learn any Uchiha-related jutsu has caused him to excel in shuriken and kunai-related jutsus, practicing until late in the evening every day, polishing the techniques until they are at a mirror shine, while Sasuke is still getting tangled in the ninja wire due to his focus on ninjutsu, forcing their brothers to help him get untangled while Naruto laughs. Both boys look up to their brothers as the coolest people in the world, though they have different favorites. Sasuke's favorite is, naturally, Itachi, but for Naruto, his favorite is Kakashi. Not only is he the oldest, meaning that Naruto has clearly won this round in the Battle of the Brothers, but as fellow outside additions to the family, there's a bond of understanding that few others get, especially considering how few friends Naruto has within the Uchiha clan that aren't his brothers. Actually, Naruto's friend group is quite limited for reasons he doesn't understand. Thanks to Auntie Sume, Auntie Chiharu, Auntie Yoshino, and Auntie Noriko being such close friends with his mom, the brothers are able to become childhood friends with Kiba, Choji, Shikamaru, and Ino. But aside from them, all of the other children in the village seem to be scared of him, or absolutely hate him. The ones that are scared usually have one of two reactions. Either they act nice while not letting Naruto get too close, or they straight up run away. The ones that hate him aren't afraid to get close, but not in a nice way. They never hit him, even if some have threatened it, but they don't have to. Words alone can hit harder than any fist. The phrase that always hurts the most is one that even the children in the Uchiha clan whisper behind his back. The fake Uchiha. A moniker that hits far closer to home than it has any right to, as it reminds him of the thing that hurts most. For while his peers are one thing, his own father is another matter entirely. Fugaku is a little distant with both of his younger boys, putting most of his focus on Itachi, Kakashi, and some project he's working on with Mr. Nara and Mr. Yamanaki. But when he looks at Sasuke, it at least feels like he's actually looking at him. Naruto doesn't know what Fugaku sees when he looks at Naruto, but he's certain it isn't him. What is a child to think when their father, the man that is supposed to love them unconditionally, looks at them like they're looking at someone else entirely? Other than that he doesn't see him as his own child. Naruto doesn't know who his birth parents are due to Hiruzen insisting that his heritage be kept a secret for his own safety, but Mikoto has been able to tell him a little about his parents. Like how his mother was her best friend, sister and all but blood. How Naruto definitely takes after her in terms of taste, as they're both obsessed with ramen. How his father was one of the bravest men she's ever known, and how he and Fugaku had worked closely together for a long time before his death. Naruto can't help but wonder if this is the reason Fugaku looks at him like that. Is he disappointed that Naruto isn't more like his birth father? Does he resent having to take Naruto in because of how close his moms were? Does he see Naruto like the rest of the clan? An outsider that doesn't belong? These questions plague the toddler, causing him to seek out his mother and brothers for comfort and validation, pushing himself to the point of exhaustion day after day trying to learn even one of the Uchiha traditional jutsu, ignoring the concerned pleas of his brothers to slow down and rest. He can't talk to them about this. They wouldn't understand. Not even Kakashi. Fugaku sees Kakashi when he looks at Kakashi, not like Naruto. When someone looks at the little blonde boy, they don't see Naruto. Not unless their names are Mikoto, Itachi, Kakashi, or Sasuke. How can he get his father to see him? The kernel of an idea is planted one day when he and Sasuke are playing with their friend group and the topic of family jutsu comes up. At first, Naruto wants to block out the conversation, it only reminding him of his failure to learn any of the Uchiha jutsu. But then Kiba mentions how his clan's jutsu enhances their sense of hearing and smell. That prompts Choji to mention wanting to learn the jutsu in his family that enhances their taste so that food will taste even better to him. That gets an eye roll from Shikamaru and a smack over the head from Ino. Noticing how quiet Naruto is, Sasuke quickly changes the topic, thinking that the current topic is upsetting his brother. However, Naruto isn't upset. Not exactly. The reminder that he can't use any of the clan's jutsus still hurts, but the mention of using jutsu to enhance senses has planted a seed of an idea in Naruto's head. If jutsu can be used to enhance hearing, smell, and taste, could it enhance sight? One day, while he's practicing with his brothers, the idea pops into his head again. Glancing over at his brothers, he mulls the idea over in his head. The Sharingan is a dojutsu that channels the wielder's chakra into their eyes. This grants them enhanced sight and improves the effectiveness of jutsus that require sight, like genjutsu. If he were to channel his chakra into his eyes, would it have a similar effect? Even without the dojutsu? Choji and Kiba's families have jutsu that enhance their senses, and all of his brothers have at least one Sharingan. Kakashi's may not have been his at birth, but it still counts. He hears the echo of that hated nickname ringing in his head as his expression hardens with resolve. If he's only ever going to be a fake, then he's going to be the best dang fake there is. Fake Sharingan and all. Taking a deep breath, he begins to focus. After a few moments, he can see his vision sharpening. Things look clearer, colors more vibrant. For a moment, he smiles. He's doing it! He's really doing it! His eyes start to sting, probably from keeping them open for so long. He ignores it and tries to push a little more chakra in, trying to get his vision even better. But the moment the chakra touches his eyes, he screams. He slams his eyes shut as he falls to his knees, his hands flying up to cover them. They hurt. They feel like they're burning. He can hear the concerned voices of his brothers calling out to him, but he can't make out what they're saying over the ringing in his ears. A pair of warm, gentle hands that he recognizes as Itachi's cup his own. Gentle, they tug at Naruto's hands, trying to coax him into pulling them away so that Itachi can examine his eyes. He lets them move away the tiniest bit before he flinches and pulls them back. Even pulling his hands away is too much. Even with his eyes closed, the light still hurts. And now, on top of the burning feeling, there's also a stinging feeling. He feels Kakashi's arms wrap around him before lifting him up, one hand holding him while the other gently rubs his back. Kakashi gently shushes him, and it's only now that Naruto realizes that he's crying. That explains the stinging feeling. He's only half listening to what his brothers are saying as he begins to feel the wind against him. They must be flash-stepping. He wonders where they're going. He doesn't want to go to the hospital. He just wants to go home. He wants his mom. Almost as if the thought summoned her, he hears his mom's voice. She sounds just as panicked as his brothers. There's the sound of hurried movement around him as he's placed on something soft. He sniffles and catches the smell of the peonies that Auntie Noriko had given him and Sasuke on her last visit. He must be in his and Sasuke's room. He's tempted to search around for his fox, but he's too scared to move his hands. Something warm and slightly heavy drops on his head, startling him until he realizes that it's the comforter from Sasuke's bed. The end in front of him lifts up slightly as a pair of soft, slender hands wrap around his gently. He hears his mom's gentle voice asking him to move his hands so that she can look at his eyes. Naruto shakes his head furiously. He doesn't want to do that again. Mikoto soothes her youngest, assuring him that he'll be okay. They've closed all the blinds and covered him with a comforter. There isn't enough light to make his eyes hurt again. Promise? I promise. Hesitantly, Naruto moves his hands away from his eyes, breathing a sigh of relief when he isn't immediately hit with a painful flash of light through his lids. He still doesn't open his eyes, however, still too scared. Mikoto gently cups his face with one hand while the other gently opens the lids of one of his eyes. There isn't the same blinding, burning pain as last time, but there's a red light that makes him flinch, his eyes stinging. Mikoto lets go of his eyelid, letting him close them again. There's a rustle of fabric as she prepares to exit his little shelter of darkness, telling him that she's going to call a medic ninja. Before she goes, Naruto shakily asks if she can grab Kuon for him. A few seconds later, the fox plushie is being pressed into his hands and he feels his mum press a soft kiss to his forehead. Naruto buries his face in his toy as he hears his mom creep out from under the cover. She says something to his brothers, but he can't really hear it under the blanket. A few seconds later, he hears someone else scramble under the comforter and soon feels a warm body the same size as his press against his side. Sasuke wraps his arms around Naruto and the blonde can feel wet drops landing on his shoulder. Not long after, two more, slightly bigger bodies fill the shelter. Itachi takes the space on Naruto's other side, gently running his hands through the blonde's hair, while Kakashi crawls in behind him, wrapping his arms around both of the 4-year-olds. Naruto leans into them as best he can. It's not easy with there being 3 of them, all in different places, but he soaks in their comfort as they wait for their mum to get back with the medic. He doesn't know what he did wrong. And that, everyone, is where I'm going to leave the story for now. Join me next time as we find out just what's wrong with Naruto's eyes. I'm Rune. See you next chapter.